In today's video, we're going to talk about best condo buildings in Midtown area. This video is part of an ongoing series. It's actually the part 3 of the ongoing series with Tom Story, where we discuss best condo buildings and we share our thoughts why these buildings are good. So if you get any value out of this content, then please hit that like button. And also please do subscribe to the channel. And if you got any questions about real estate, you can book a call with us by clicking on the first link mentioned in the description below. Now enjoy the video.
All right, Amrit, I'm bringing you back in here, and today we're focused on Midtown Toronto. Thanks for coming back. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me back. Good to be back. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's been cool so far doing this series because people are putting in the comments like, hey, can you do this area? Can you do this area? And it's been kind of neat to see. But today we are focused on Midtown Toronto. So why don't you get us started with what's your number one pick for Midtown?
So for Midtown, my number one pick would be Quantum Towers. That's 2181 and 2191 Yonge Street. It's a high rise, but at the same time, it's managed well. So that's what I like about that building. Layouts are solid. It's spacious because it's slightly old. It's about like 17 years old. And it's developed by Minto Developer, which is again a decent developer in the city. And it's just next to the transit. So that is a good thing. And that's a lot of my clients appreciate that. It's right next to the subway station. That's a plus for that building.
Yeah, so Quantum Towers was on my list as well. We've had a ton of clients live there over the years. And interestingly enough, most of our clients that have bought in that building have bought there to actually live there. Like it's maybe more of an end user building just because when it actually registered, probably 2007, 2008, something along those lines, it wasn't so much the investor boom yet, right? It was people actually buying condos to move in and live. You got really good floor plans. They're a bit bigger than the newer stuff that's being built. I just think they're more functional. 2-bedroom units that are like generous sizes, and you get some of the stuff on the higher floors that are massive floor plans that are like really nice, like true, like when the word penthouse actually meant something, you can find them in this building. So we're definitely on the same page there. So my next pick would be the Republic condos, and that's 25 Broadway and 70 Roehampton. And for people that don't know, these buildings are TRREB built. They're 2010, and it's located kind of in between where the North Toronto School is. And in 2010, there was a deal struck between TRREB and North Toronto, I guess the City of Toronto, where they actually rebuilt the school because it was getting old, it was crumbling. And then they built 2 condos on each side of it. So these condos you can get into like under $900 a square foot these days, like a solid TRREB 2010 built building. I'm just a big fan. How do you feel about the Republic condos?
Yeah, there's clearly an overlap. So this was my second number on the list. And as you said, you can find good condos, livable condos for about a good price point. I was there recently, a couple of weeks ago. I was looking into a 1+10, a solid 1+10 with parking and locker. It was, I think, recently sold for $615,000, give or take. So, which is pretty solid. And especially the units which are facing west, they have a protected view looking into the field, which is nice. And talking about, it's on Roehampton Street. It's not that of a busy street as compared to Yonge Street. So, which is a pretty good thing about that location and building.
That's a good point. It's like a few streets north of right at Yonge and Egg, so you're not quite in the craziness. You're like a little bit hidden away. Funny story about this building. 10 years ago, I had a listing in 25 Broadway, and I remember writing in the listing description like upcoming LRT. I didn't think it would take 10 more years until it was real. It's still not real as us recording this video. You can't actually use it yet, so I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, what is next on your list?
Next up is 11 Lillian Street. It is just off east of Yonge Street. It's kind of tucked away from the Yonge and Eglinton intersection, or the hustle bustle of that intersection, or chaos, whatever you want to call it. So it's a newer building, so that's why the condos in this building sell at a higher price point, about like $1,000 to $1,050 per square foot, I would say, give or take. It's new, but still the units have a good layout, solid functional layouts, which I have clients living in that building. They have all good things to say about that building. So yeah, that's my number 3, I would say. And
so this one,
that
one wasn't actually on my list, so that's good. That not everything is the same here. My next one is 5 Sudan, the art shop condos. Free development. This was registered, I believe, around 2020. Again, because it's a little bit newer, you're seeing sale prices between like $1,000 and $1,100 per square foot, depending on the floor plan, the view, if it has parking, things like that. Cool building. Really great location. Again, kind of similar to the fact that like it's a little bit south of Yonge and Egg, and Sudan's a residential street that all the way down has homes that sell anywhere between, $1 million and $2.5 million, right? So you're kind of in that zone there. I've been in there quite a few times meeting with potential sellers and buyers. And for me, it's a building that if I were to look to move to Yonge and Eglinton at this point in my life, it would at least be on my list. So that would be my next one.
Yeah, that's a solid building. They've got a farm boy downstairs and a Staples too.
Yep.
So which is nice. But the only downside is it's right on Yonge and Sudan.
True.
So the units which are facing west and on lower floor, they might hear some
Little
noise
loud,
or
right?
Traffic. A little loud. It gets loud, yeah.
That's a good
the only
point.
thing. Yeah.
What's next on your list?
My next up is 60 Berwick Street. It is again west of Yonge Street, tucked away. It's on a quiet street. It's not a high rise. It's a mid to high rise. I would say it's 17 floors, and I see a lot of end users living in that building. So which I kind of notice, because that's one of the things which I tend to notice, because if renters, nothing against renters, but typically if the building is highly renters occupied, you see high turnover of people moving in and moving out. But on the other side, if there's more owners, there's more sense of community in the building, which a lot of my clients prefer. So that's top on my list as well, 60 Berwick Street.
Okay, good. I didn't have that on my list. So this is good that we're not saying all the same things. My next one, we're going a little bit more south, and this is probably as far as I would call like real Midtown when you get to like Merton Street. So we're not going as far as like Yonge and St. Clair in this video, but 1815 Yonge Street. That's a Crestford building that was built 2014. It's still selling around $1,000 a square foot. If you can get the south view looking over the Mount Pleasant Cemetery, it is beautiful. You get all downtown. You're looking over the cemetery. Obviously, that view is safe. That's never going to change. The only thing about this building that I have heard before is I think there's only 2 elevators. But the number one complaint I hear about every condo building is the elevators suck. So it's not like exclusive to one building. I hear this across the board for many condos in the city. But looking at kind of that Merton Street and all the options that you have, a lot of the buildings are older. This is one of the newer ones that is taller. It's more of a high rise, at least comparative to the other stuff on Merton. And if you can get that south view, big fan of that. So that's my next pick. What's next up for you?
Just to add on that. So on Merton Street, yeah, it's an awesome street, and there are a lot of buildings over there, but most of the buildings are old, as you pointed out, and their maintenance fees are high. 1815 Yonge, it's a solid building. I like that building, but recently when I was showing that building to a couple of my clients, and then the units we looked at were south facing. The only concern was they're looking into the cemetery. So
and they didn't like that.
They didn't like that. No.
See, like I think that would be nice. I actually, off topic, I learned how to drive in that cemetery when I was young. My grandpa took me there. We learned how to drive. Really? That's a good point. That would be a personal thing. If you think that's beautiful or kind of weird, that would be a personal thing, right? Yeah. Okay. So what's next up?
Next up, again, I'm going to go back to Roehampton. That is 30 Roehampton. Again, Minto developer. High rise, but managed well. And views looking out south and east towards looking into the field. That's a solid view. Your view is protected. Most of the units in that building have a good layouts, but there are a few units you'll come across which do have a weird layout. I'll be honest with that. Yeah. But overall, I'll give a thumbs up to that building.
Yeah, I mean, Minto is a pretty safe bet across the board for most of the stuff that they build. Okay, my final pick would actually be 88 Broadway. This is a building not a lot of people pay attention to because it's a little bit older compared to the other stuff on Broadway. But like, and as recording this, I will say I do have a condo for sale there for a client, but that's not the reason why it's on this list. I think it's like one of those kind of older ones where the floor plans are more generous. It's a little bit tucked away at the end of the street there where the intersection is. And I like it. I think you get solid floor plans. The price per square foot is pretty good. Looking at what your other options are around there compared to the new stuff. Of course, there's some tenants in there, but I believe for the most part, it's mostly owner occupied. So 88 Broadway would be my final pick. Do we cover all yours already?
Yeah, mine are all done for Yonge.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have any honorable mentions you want to add? Because I got one I can think of.
There are a few, but the only downside is the maintenance fees. I just 88 Broadway was also on my list, but the only downside is the maintenance fees. Like there's one more building, 58 Orchard Boulevard, which is again on the northwest corner of Yonge and Egg, tucked away, but the maintenance fee is slightly high, so that's why I did not include in this listing. So actually, one of our colleagues, she actually owns a condo over there. She loved it, but the only downside is the maintenance fees. Otherwise, 50 Orchard Boulevard is a solid building.
Yeah, I don't know because that building's not even that old, so I don't know why the maintenance is over $1 a square foot. My honorable mention I'll add is 319 Merton Street. So it's at the corner of Mount Pleasant and Merton. It's an older building, I guess, compared to some of the newer stuff. I believe it's 2007, but it's holding value pretty good. Like the units in there are still trading about $1,000 a square foot. So I think 319 Merton would be one that I'd certainly focus on.
I see a lot of downsizers moving in that building.
Yeah,
maybe that's
because
why.
you can get bigger, good size floor plans, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, there is our breakdown for Yonge and Eglinton for the condos that we at least believe. This is our opinion on the ones that we like the most based on the fact that we've had clients live there. We've seen all these buildings. But let us know in the comments of this video, is there any building that we didn't talk about that we should have talked about? Is there any building that we did talk about that you've actually not had a great experience with? Like, I want the people watching this to be interactive. Let us know in the comments below. Amrit, I appreciate you being here. We'll get you back for the next one that we do. Thank you everybody for watching this video, and we'll talk to you soon.